Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and welcome to today's webinar. We're just going to wait another moment or two just to let a few more people join, and then we'll get started.
Okay, let's get started, Melissa.
Okay, go ahead. You can go ahead, David.
Okay, well, welcome to the Kevin Knebl webinar on how to grow your valuation practice in 15 minutes a day. My name is David Fein. I'm the CEO of ValuSource. I've known Kevin for about a decade and a half. He's one of my favorite people. Not only is he an amazing guy, I love him, but he has a process and a system that he's developed over the last, I think, 3 decades that really is pretty amazing. And his specialty is helping people in financial services grow their practices with a system that he's developed himself to become a top salesman in a number of companies, which I'll let him sort of explain. And I think Kevin, in this area, there's a lot of people that help people use social media to develop relationships and develop businesses, but I really think Kevin is the best of the best. And the reason is because it's not about technology, it's based on building relationships. And knowing Kevin has really helped me take my building relationships in the next step. And it's so much broader than just growing your business. And Kevin will absolutely help you do that. If you implement these things, you'll walk out of here today with a handful of very concrete steps and strategies to grow your business. But it's really more than just growing your business. It's really about creating, better relationships, which is much more than just about business. It's about life. So, I encourage you to, take what he says, sort of seriously, implement it, and use it. It's an amazing kind of a thing. So with that, let me introduce my good friend, Kevin Knebl. Kevin, it's all yours.
Hey, David, thank you so much for the kind introduction. Hey, everybody. I'm assuming you're all friends of David Fein's, and any friend of David Fein's is a friend of mine. So thank you for the warm introduction, David. And yeah, it's hard to believe that you and I have known each other now for probably 13, 14 years. Man, time. You and I continue to age, but our wives don't. It's amazing how that works. So folks, what we're going to do is we have about an hour. I'm going to move very, very quickly. And I'm going to walk you through how I've been very blessed to help a tremendous number of financial professionals create in excess of $500 million in revenue, referrals. I actually stopped counting at about 400 million a number of years ago. My clients would update me as to how much revenue they were generating as a result of implementing the stuff that I teach. And around 400 million, 500 million, I just thought, well, this is just getting silly. So, it's no longer on trial. What I teach actually works, and it works very well. So I'm going to run through a lot of information in a relatively short amount of time. understand that no matter how much I throw at you in the next 60 minutes or so, we're literally just scratching the tip of the iceberg. We could go so much deeper if we had the time, which we don't. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through a lot of information. At the end, we'll leave a little bit of time for Q&A, and I'll also make you aware of some continuing education materials that you can take advantage of that are very, very affordable, where if you want to go deeper into this, you can do that at your leisure, in your house, on your couch, with a beer or a Merlot in your hand and your fuzzy bunny slippers. So you can take it at your own pace. So I'm going to show you a couple slides very quickly. The worst way in the world to teach somebody how to ride a bike is to show them a PowerPoint presentation on how to ride a bike. The best way to teach someone how to ride a bike is to put them on the bike. So I'm going to show you a couple of slides to set the table, and then we're going to jump onto the bike, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do what you're looking to accomplish doing. Okay, so hopefully that'll work really well. So, bear with me a second. There we go. So, I think it's ironic that some of the things that our parents and grandparents taught us many years ago are actually more true now than years ago. Number one, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all. So it's really about building positive relationships. In the old days, if you were negative, the only person that heard your negativity was somebody within earshot. Nowadays, people get on social media and all these other platforms and they're negative, and then they wonder why people don't want to hang around with them. So I'm just going to encourage you to be a little bit more positive. People have enough of their own stress. They don't need yours or mine. Number two, in the old days, we used to hear that you only have one chance to make a good first impression. Well, that's more true now than it was in the old days, because in the old days, if David and I met each other in the old days, it was typically face-to-face or perhaps by telephone. Now, it's a very naive human being nowadays who is not going to type the name of someone they're thinking about doing business with into Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. But let's just handle this right up front. That is not stalking. If I'm thinking about doing business with David Fein and I type his name into LinkedIn, I'm not stalking him. I'm actually looking at the information he wants me to know. That's why he put it on his LinkedIn profile. So we're not in any way talking about stalking here. We're actually talking about being a professional. Professionals do their homework, amateurs wing it, okay? So number two, you need to have a very clear and compelling online social media presence, because people are going to make buying decisions and hiring and referral decisions based on the data that you give them. And number three, you need to have some kind of a method or an understanding of how to create, nurture, and deepen relationships. Now, I'm not saying that to be woo-woo, but you and I know people who are technically very good at what they do for a living, but if they can't, to some degree, create, nurture, and deepen relationships with people that are in a position to hire or refer them, they might as well be doing what they're doing on an island somewhere with a volleyball named Wilson, because they're never going to make any traction. All things being equal, people do business with and refer business to people who they know, like, and trust. Now, that's true. You've probably heard that before, but I take that statement to an extreme. If I were to look back over the last 25 years of my life and my sales career, David kindly mentioned in the introduction that I had a very successful sales career. What I used to do for a living many years ago is I actually used to be a piano player in New York City, very different line of work. I ended up marrying a woman who I'm still married to. I ended up marrying a woman that I met when she booked me to play piano at her wedding to another man. Now, we don't have time for the rest of that story, but I can guarantee you it's an interesting story. But then I got into sales, which I had to because I had no other choice. To be quite frank, a sex change would have probably been more in my comfort zone than getting into sales, but love will make you do funny things. I got into sales and I was scared out of my mind. I would literally throw up every day on my way to my first sales call. But I started studying people skills and interpersonal skills and Dale Carnegie types of things and emotional intelligence and that type of thing. And I started realizing that once someone has a basic understanding of their product or service, that's the first part of that sentence, by the way, all things being equal. Once somebody has a basic understanding of their product or service or the features and benefits or whatever, beyond that, people's success does not come down to their technical ability. It comes down to their ability to create know, like, trust in the mind of the people that are in a position to hire them or refer them. So really, my expertise is not in social media. I drive a car, but I have no idea how to fix a transmission. My expertise actually isn't even in sales, even though I was the top salesperson for 4 separate companies in 4 separate industries, including being the top salesperson in the world for an international consulting company with 350 salespeople in 15 countries. Well, Kevin, what do you mean you don't consider your expertise sales? I don't. What I consider my expertise is how to create sincere, authentic, know, like, trust. Because if you can create sincere, authentic, know, like, trust, sales and referrals is like falling off a log. That's easy. See, let me use an analogy. I could teach you everything you need to know about how the electronics inside a telephone work, but that will not in any way increase your conversation skills, which means it's not going to help you use a telephone. So it's never about the communication tool, the paper and the pen, the 2 cans and the string, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. It's always about the communication skills of the person with the tool. So all things being equal, people do business with and refer business to people who they know, like, and trust. Just for stats, there's over 2 billion people on Facebook, which means literally 1 out of every 3 people on Earth, 1 out of every 3 human beings currently breathing on Earth is on Facebook. Now, I'm a simple guy. If I'm going to go fishing, I want to go where the fish are. There's over 550 million people on LinkedIn and 2 to 5 new people per second getting on. And Twitter is a mind-boggling tool in terms of lead generation and for client acquisition. But obviously in today's webinar, we don't have time to get into all the nooks and crannies of all of these. I'm just giving you some high-level stats. There's basically 4 fundamental things you need to understand if you're going to grow your practice. Without a dialogue, there is no selling. Now, if you're not comfortable with the word selling, just change it to the word relationship, because it means the same thing. Without a meaningful dialogue, there is no relationship. When there's trust and rapport, there's literally no need for selling pressure. Flip that over, when there's not trust and rapport, that's when people start to rely on ninja sales, closing maneuvers, and all this other stuff, but none of that is really necessary. The more that you can learn about the people that you want to do business with, the easier it's going to be for you to create sincere, authentic, heart-centered conversations with them. So I teach a very simple 3-step process. Now, on today's webinar, obviously we're going through this very fast and dirty. When I have more time, whether it's a half-day boot camp or a full-day program or whatever, I can obviously get into the nooks and the crannies and the nitty-gritty. I'm going to walk you through this real quickly, and then we're going to jump onto the internet. If you're like most of the audiences that I speak to, and I'm kindly asked to speak in 1 to 2 cities per week all around the world, so on any particular day I could be in Australia, London, South America, San Francisco, wherever. If you're like most of the people that I speak to, when I first introduce you to these 3 steps, you are going to think that I am oversimplifying it. And I can assure you, after 25 years of doing this and being the top salesperson in the world for 4 different companies, I'm not oversimplifying it. I'm actually making it so ridiculously simple that most people actually don't see it, because we tend to think that things need to be more complicated than they really are. So assuming that you are good at valuation or whatever the heck it is that you do to deliver value to your clients, which I can't help you with that, assuming you're good at that, there's only 3 steps between where you are right now and wherever you would like to be in terms of success, and you can quantify that by revenue, referrals, lifestyle, Rolexes, knock your socks off. Number 1, you have to have the ability to find the people who are in a position to either hire you or refer you. Now, you may be sitting there going, well, duh, Kev. Well, I'm going to show you a couple things in a few moments that we're going to be able to find these people pretty much down to eye color. You will never, ever run out of prospects again for the rest of your life. Kevin, that's a pretty big claim. Can you back that up? I can back it up all day. So number one, you need to have the ability to find the people that are in a position to either cut you a check or refer you to somebody who can cut you a check. Assuming you can do that, we go to step two. You need to have the ability to start a conversation, not a sales pitch, with those people in a manner that does not get the door slammed in your face or get you blown off. This second step is where I spend most of my time with my private coaching clients. When I'm not on the road, I do work with a small number of people in a one-to-one private coaching relationship. I'm going to sound like Yoda for 30 seconds. Could I teach you a lot of things? Would you learn a lot of things if you were to work with me? The answer to that question is yes. But ultimately, based on what my clients have told me over the years, where you would really get the value in working with me would not be so much in the learning, it would be in the unlearning. Unlearning a number of behaviors that you've innocently picked up over the years that never really served you well to begin with. But you never noticed you were doing them. Let me use an analogy. Have you ever noticed that people with really, really bad breath never seem to realize how bad their breath really is? It's not like they wake up in the morning and go, I wonder how rancid I can get my breath today, and how many people's faces I can get in and make their hair curl. They're not saying that. They just have bad hygiene. Well, most people in business have what I call commission breath. But they don't realize how bad it really is. And I help people get rid of that commission breath and create an endless stream of clients and referrals. So number one, you need to have the ability to find the people that are in a position to hire you or refer you. Number two, you need to have the ability to start a conversation with those people in a manner that they don't slam the door in your face. And then once you do that, there's only one step left. You need to have some kind of a method or a system to stay top of mind with these people in a manner that's never slick, salesy, awkward, or creepy, which causes them to start to know you, like you, and trust you, so that when they're ready to do business with you or refer, they actually want to do business with you or refer. Well, I have a very simple method to do that, and it works mind-bogglingly well. And it's led to a 99% by invitation and referral only business. So my business is, and always has been, 99% by invitation and referral only. I don't do any marketing. I do no advertising. I basically answer the phone and answer emails. But before you think I'm trying to be arrogant or cocky, I'm not. It's just validation of everything I'm teaching you. I mean, think about it. Shouldn't a person that's going to teach you how to create a 99% by invitation and referral only practice have one himself? Would you go to a physical trainer who weighed 450 pounds? I wouldn't. So you can always tell a tree by the fruit it bears. So again, one more time, and then we're going to jump on the internet. You need to have the ability to find the people that are in a position to hire you or refer you. I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment. You need to have the ability to start a conversation with them in a manner where they don't blow you off. I'm going to show you how to do that also in a moment. And you need to have the ability to stay top of mind in a way that doesn't creep people out so that they want to refer you. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment too. Now, I'm doing this very quickly. Obviously, we could go much deeper if we had more time. Let's jump on the internet. I don't care what you do for a living. At this point in time, LinkedIn's been around for 14 years. LinkedIn was launched on Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May, 2003. This has been around. It's coming up on its 15th anniversary. I got on LinkedIn 60 days after it launched back in July of 2003. I never imagined I'd be doing what I do for a living now, but life is funny. But I was on LinkedIn back when there were only a handful of us on LinkedIn. So I've seen the evolution of the site over the last 14 years. And LinkedIn has become the world's de facto Rolodex. 550 million people on it, 2 to 5 new people per second. Now, does David Fein have a website? Of course he does. But his LinkedIn profile is effectively his electronic digital business card, in addition to his website. So if you're listening to me right now and you've got a website, good for you. But you need to have a LinkedIn profile that clearly and accurately conveys the value that you deliver to the table. Most people's LinkedIn profiles do not do that. If David showed up at a business meeting with a ripped up Metallica t-shirt with a coffee stain on it in bedhead, he's actually shooting himself in the foot. Even though he's absolutely brilliant at what he does, and he's got wonderful products and services at ValuSource, he's making it harder than it needs to be if he shows up at a meeting looking like a homeless person. Well, you have one chance to make a good first impression, and your LinkedIn profile needs to convey that. So I'm going to show you a couple of LinkedIn profiles very quickly and just give you an example of what a good LinkedIn profile kind of looks like. So let's start with Ludo. Ludo's one of my private coaching clients. He's a financial advisor in San Francisco. I think he's got a nice profile. Here's a nice picture of Ludo. Here's a nice background picture. You can put anything you want in the background, your company logo, whatever. He's got some mountains. He's maximizing the 120 characters in his headline. He's not just putting his job title. He's creating a call to action explaining how he delivers value. All his contact information's on the side. He's got a very clear and easily understandable summary explaining how he delivers value. And he's got media, including white papers, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoints, Word documents, and then he's got a complete work history. So I could literally spend an hour going over profile optimization, but we don't have time for that. The key thing I want you to take away from this is that he's clearly and accurately delivering value right out of the gate. Here's Colby. He does it a little differently. He's got his company logo. I think he should have something in this white space, but I'm just showing you this for contrast. He's not doing a sentence approach like Ludo did. He's doing a bullet point. 401k consultant, investment advisor. So the key is he's maximizing the 120 characters. Got all his contact information. So number one, you want to make sure that your LinkedIn profile clearly and accurately conveys the value that you deliver to the table. So as a gift from me to you, because David's a personal friend of mine, please feel free to email me at the end of this webinar. Here's my email address. Do not send me a message on LinkedIn asking for what I'm about to tell you. Send me an email so I can attach a document to it. Email me at kevin@kevinknebl.com and say, Kevin, I was on the ValuSource webinar. Would you please send me your LinkedIn profile optimization cheat sheet? And I'll send you a cheat sheet with about a dozen different tips on it that you can apply to your LinkedIn profile to make sure that your LinkedIn profile looks good. Now, if you're a total overachiever, after you apply those suggestions to your profile, email me again and say, Kevin, I updated my LinkedIn profile to reflect your tips. Would you mind looking over it and giving me your thoughts? It's not going to take me more than 60 seconds in a United Club in some airport somewhere while I'm sipping free Merlot for me to open up your LinkedIn profile and shoot you over a couple of tips and help you fine tune it. If you're a friend of David's, you're a friend of mine, and I'm happy to do that for you. So shoot me an email and say, Kevin, send me your LinkedIn cheat sheet, and also, Kevin, send me all of your LinkedIn templates that you normally charge $100 for, and I'll be happy to give those to you as a gift also. Okay? Very simple. You also want to send me a LinkedIn invitation. You want to go to my LinkedIn profile and send me a LinkedIn invitation because of the way LinkedIn's algorithms work. I have about 26,000 connections on LinkedIn. So because of the way the algorithms work, when I accept your LinkedIn invitation, about 7 to 9 million connections will be added to your account instantaneously. You might not fully understand the ramifications of that right now, but I can assure you it's a good thing. So you may want to send me a LinkedIn invitation and just say, hey, Kevin, I was on the ValuSource webinar. Would you mind connecting with me here on LinkedIn? I'll accept your LinkedIn invitation. Then that's going to add a lot more connections to your account, which you're going to see in a few moments why that's such a good thing. Another suggestion that I would make is you literally want to start treating your LinkedIn account like your Rolodex. So if I go to the top of LinkedIn here and I put my cursor over my network and I click on that, and then I go over here to where it says more options, I can actually sync my email accounts. LinkedIn's only showing 4 here, but LinkedIn supports over 220 different email platforms. I could put my Gmail address in here or any combination of email addresses, hit continue, and LinkedIn will notify me of who's on LinkedIn that has an email address that's already in my Gmail account, and now I can strategically identify which of those people I'd like to connect with. I can also upload a CSV file. I can merge this with Salesforce, Goldmine, Act, Redtail, or any combination of CRMs. So what I'm really saying is you literally want to start treating LinkedIn like it is your real-time Rolodex, because it is. In the old days, we used to have Rolodexes, but if somebody moved, you had to find out about it and then get the white out and then cross out their name in your little black book. If David Fein decided tomorrow that he wanted to move to, Alaska and become a salmon fisherman, this would change to Alaska salmon fisherman, but we'd still be connected and I would still have accurate and current contact information. So once you connect with somebody on LinkedIn, you're effectively connected to them in the world's largest self-updating Rolodex. Crazy, crazy powerful. Now, what I've learned over the years is that the easiest way to demonstrate some of the things I need to demonstrate to you right now is for me to pretend that I'm you. So you obviously have a much deeper understanding of what you do for a living than what I do, but I'm assuming, and tell me if I'm wrong, David, I'm assuming there's a number of people on this webinar who are valuation experts who are looking to do business with maybe small to mid-sized business owners, perhaps in their local community, or maybe even outside of their local community. So I'm going to do an example, and David, if you need to interrupt me, feel free to jump in.
Sure.
If I'm
well,
going.
I think for evaluators, it's 2 things. A lot of evaluators are working with attorneys, so they're looking for referrals. So
Okay.
Part of it's businesses, and a big chunk of it is referrals for like litigation kinds of stuff.
Perfect. Okay, so everybody watch what I'm about to do. And again, I'm doing this very fast and dirty because of time constraints. I'm going to pretend that I became a valuation expert and I live in Monument, Colorado, which is where I live. And I'm going to pretend that it is Monday morning at 8 a.m. and I need to go find business now. Now, for the purposes of demonstration, I'm going to pretend that I've already exhausted my warm market. I've already talked to all the attorneys that I know in my general area. I'm going to show you how I would wake up on a Monday morning and I would start to create new business without ever being slick, salesy, awkward, or creepy. Okay? So it's Monday morning at 8 a.m. I get into my office, I get my first cup of coffee, and I say to myself, I need to find some business. So I go back to my 3-step process and I refresh my memory. What's the first step? I need to find the people that are in a position to do business with me or refer business to me. Now, based on what David just told me, it sounds like many of you probably get referrals from attorneys, among other people. So I go on LinkedIn and I'm going to use some LinkedIn tools that you might not be familiar with. Don't get bogged down in the details at this point. Don't be saying to yourself, is this a premium feature? What's it cost? We can handle that at the end. Don't worry about that. Is the least important part of the conversation right now. I'm going to go to LinkedIn Sales Navigator tool. I'm going to put my cursor over Advanced, and I'm going to click on Search for Leads. This is going to open up 22 filters. Now I want you to watch this 0 number up here, because it says 0 because we haven't populated it yet. I'm going to start with my zip code. I could do my country, any zip code, anywhere I want to go. I'm going to put my home zip code in here, which is 80132. And I'm going to do a 50-mile search. So I'm doing a 50-mile search of anybody on LinkedIn within 50 miles of my home. And there are 1,312,477 people on LinkedIn within 50 miles of my home. Okay? It's now 8:01 a.m. Then I say to myself, okay, I'm looking for attorneys. So I'm going to go to industry, and there's about 100 industries, and I'm going to go to legal. Now, there are attorneys out there who will put themselves in the wrong category, but just for fun, I'm going to click law practice, and I'm going to click legal. I could do any combination I want. Legal services, there are within 50 miles of my home, there are 24,958 people on LinkedIn who have put themselves into the law practice and legal services category on LinkedIn. Then I say to myself, you know what? I want somebody that's been an attorney for a while. I don't want somebody that's a newbie that doesn't know anybody. So I'm going to go down to years of experience, and I'm going to say, I just want to find the people that have been doing it for at least 10 years. I now have 9,787 people. Now, I could continue to filter this any way I want to filter it. I could say, I just want to find people that have the word attorney in their LinkedIn profile. And I have 2,598. I could say, I want to find the people that went to the same college as me. I want to find people that speak some German and some French like I do. I want to find some people that work for law firms that have between 11 and 500 employees. I mean, folks, I could slice and dice this any combination of 22 different ways. Now, one thing that would be good for you to know about me is that I am a very, very simple man. I'm not stupid, but I'm simple. And simple pays really, really well. When I used to be more complex, it didn't pay as well. So I started to simplify my life, and oh my God, it's out of control. So I say to myself, well, if you've been around the earth for any length of time, you've probably figured out that the easiest way in the world to start a conversation with a fully functioning, rational human being is to find something that you have in common with them. So I ask myself, what do I like to do for fun when I'm not working? Well, I like to golf, and I like to ski, and I like opera, and I like rock concerts, and I like wine. So I'm going to go up to keywords, and I'm going to type golf. When I type golf, it's telling me that there are 64 people with the word attorney in their current LinkedIn profile job category within 50 miles of my house in the law practice and legal services area that have been attorneys for at least 10 years or more that have the word golf in their LinkedIn profile. What if I change that? What if I change that to skiing? Are there any skiing? 146 of them. What if I changed it to wine? I've got 15 of them. What if I changed it to travel? So I'm only limited by my imagination. So why don't I change it back to golf? I've got 64 self-identified attorneys that have been attorneys for at least 10 years within 50 miles of my house that have the word golf in their LinkedIn profile. Then I hit search. It pulls up the 64 people. Now, I really want you to hear what I'm about to say next, because if this is all you hear, this should keep you up for 30 seconds tonight. If I were to hit this button right here, Save Search, I'm telling LinkedIn that I'm interested in anyone that fits these 5 filters. If I were to hit Save Search, LinkedIn is now going to monitor the database. Every second of every minute of every hour of every day of every week of every month of every year until the sun burns out or until I tell it to stop. LinkedIn's going to monitor this forever, and then it's going to notify me by sending me an email. Kevin, we found 12 new people that fit your search parameters this week. Please click here to see who these people are, and they will not be notified that you were looking at their LinkedIn profile. Let me slow down, folks. If you heard what I just said, you can literally turn LinkedIn into a 24/7, 365 lead generation machine. And you can set up multiple searches, not just one. This is one of the reasons why I've been able to help my financial services clients generate close to at least probably $500 million in revenue. Because I will tell you, folks, you're very smart getting on this webinar. Because I will guarantee you that 99% of the people that are your competition have absolutely no understanding of what I'm showing you right now. It's not because they're stupid people. This just isn't what they do every day. I've been doing this every day for 14 years. 99% of your competition has no clue that LinkedIn has some of the capabilities that I'm showing you right now, and I haven't even gotten started. So I've got 64 people, but LinkedIn even tells me who's new in their role in the last 3 months. Well, that might be good to know. That's called a triggering event. Who's posting on LinkedIn on a regular basis? Who went to the same college as me or belongs to a similar group? Who was mentioned in the local news media? LinkedIn's actually not only searching LinkedIn, it's searching the local news media, and it will notify you when Mark is mentioned in the local newspaper as Rotarian of the Year or whatever. But it gets even better. If I click save as lead, save as lead, save as lead, anytime these people breathe, I will be notified of it. LinkedIn will tell me, Kevin, Mark just clicked the like button on somebody else's post on LinkedIn. Kevin, Tiffany just updated her LinkedIn profile to reflect the new certification, a couple more letters after her name. And all of these notifications are what I refer to as engagement opportunities. They're sincere, authentic ways for you to create non-salesy conversations. So have I accomplished step 1 in my 3-step process? Heck yeah. I've totally shown you one of many, many ways that I could show you how to identify the people that are in a position to do business with you or refer business to you. So now we go to step 2. Now that I've identified these people, I have to be able to start a conversation, not a sales pitch, with them in a manner that doesn't get the door slammed in my face. And as I mentioned about 15 or 20 minutes ago, this is where most people struggle. And they struggle innocently because they've been taught, you and I have been taught since birth in America, various forms of thinly veiled and not so thinly veiled sales pitches. I call it commission break, and it doesn't work. My methods on average work about 87% of the time. So I'll give you an example. Here's Mark Miller. I have no idea who Mark Miller is. I click on Mark Miller. Now, you're all on mute, so I'm going to ask a couple of rhetorical questions. Number 1, am I ever in 100 lifetimes ever going to do business with or receive a referral from this man without starting a conversation with him first? I'll answer for you because you're on mute. The answer is no. So my only goal is to say something to this man that elicits a response. That is my only goal. And again, most people don't realize how slick and salesy they're really coming across. So I can look at his LinkedIn profile, I could go look at his Twitter account, I could take the time to actually read what he's writing, because if I actually shut up long enough and read what he's writing, he's telling me everything I need to know. But it doesn't matter how much somebody tells you if you don't have good listening skills. Most people in business have horrendous listening skills. When I mentioned to you that I was the top salesperson in the world for 4 different companies, and that my business is 99% by invitation and referral only, it's not because I'm a good speaker. It's actually because I'm a great listener. The best salespeople don't have great speaking skills. They have tremendous listening skills. He's telling me everything I need to know if I would just shut up and listen. So I look at his LinkedIn profile, and all I'm doing now is just qualifying. I'm just looking at him and saying, does this look like, he's telling me where he went to school, he's telling me what college he went to, he's telling me what frat he pledged, he's telling me everything I need to know to create a sincere, authentic conversation if I'm smart enough to go look at it. Most people aren't smart enough to go look at it. He's telling me that he supports Big Brother. He's telling me that he helps people with tutoring. This guy's got a big heart. So I'm going to give you 2 examples of a message that I could send this man. The first example will be absolutely stupid, and I will use it as contrast. Let me assure you that the first example is pretty much what most people in business do every day. The second message will be a little bit more elegant, and probably have about an 87% response rate. Here's message number 1. Hi, Mark. My name's Kevin Knebl. I found your LinkedIn profile. You look like the kind of person that could refer me business. Want to refer me some business? Now, you may be chuckling on mute in the background, but you've been taught to do that since birth. You've been taught in our American culture to walk into bars and try to kiss strangers. You would never do that in a bar, but you've been taught to do that in business. And then you wonder why you get slapped. Of course you get slapped. Of course you don't get your phone calls returned. Of course your marketing goes into a black hole, because you're effectively walking into a bar and going up to an attractive stranger and shoving your tongue down their throat. But you never really thought of it that way before. So if we were to ever work together, I would help you unlearn all of those things that never served you well to begin with. Let me give you message number 2. Understand that you might say it a little bit differently than me, but I want you to listen to the message behind the message. And after 25 years in sales and 14 years on LinkedIn, I can assure you, as sure as gravity exists, I have an 87% response rate to this message. Let me define response rate. They respond. They're not responding with, where have you been all my life? Let me refer you a ton of clients. That's naive and stupid to think that's going to happen. All I want is a response. Because if I can get a response, we are now in a conversation, and all I have to do is what I'm about to show you in a few moments, is how to nurture that relationship. So what I'm teaching you is so radically simple that most people struggle for a while to really get what I'm saying. But once they get it, they never worry about client acquisition or referrals ever, ever again. So here's the message that I would send Mark. Hey, Mark, my name's Kevin Knebl. You don't know me from Adam, but I was playing around with LinkedIn and I came across your profile. I'm all about paying it forward, and I'd love to prove it to you, so I'm extending my hand in friendship. I'm connected to many people in the greater Denver area and far more here on LinkedIn, and more than likely some of the people that I know would probably see value in the services that you offer. If I could ever direct any people your way or open any doors or make any warm introductions on your behalf, I would be happy to discuss it with you. I also noticed that you're a golfer. I'm always looking for a reason to get out of the office on a weekday. So if you're ever looking for a 4th person, I'm your guy, and I'll even pick up the first round of drinks at the 19th hole. Anyway, hope you're having a great end to your February. Go Broncos, Kev. Now, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if he's going to respond to that, but based on 14 years of historical data of doing this all day, every day, I pretty much know that about 87% of the time they respond. And even if he doesn't respond, I have other ways of getting a response from him that are not slick, salesy, awkward, and creepy. But again, what I'm showing you is so simple and so radically different from what you and I have been taught in terms of marketing and sales. Because most of what you and I have been taught in terms of marketing and sales are just variations of walking into bars and trying to kiss strangers. I am playing a fundamentally different game. I'm not trying to position myself as some enlightened Buddha. I'm just saying that why are we making this so difficult? You are never in 100 lifetimes ever going to bring on a new client without finding them first or having them find you, starting a sincere, authentic conversation with them in a manner that they don't slam the door in your face, and then getting them to know you, like you, and trust you in a sincere, authentic way. If you are married, you actually did all 3 of these steps without realizing you did it. It's no more complicated than this. So assuming he responds, I'm already off to the races. So let's jump out of LinkedIn. Real quick before we jump out, let me just refresh your memory. All I did was I used some of the features that are available in LinkedIn that most people are unfamiliar with to identify my best prospects pretty much down to eye color. When I took the golf out, I've got over 2,000 attorneys within 50 miles of me. If I put the word, David likes to travel, so I'm going to just put travel. There's 104 people that have the word travel in their LinkedIn profile. There's somebody on this webinar right now that likes to fish. Let's put fishing in there. It's 56 of them. There's somebody on this webinar that likes wine. I'm only limited by my imagination, folks. You are literally, as crass as this phrase is, you are literally shooting fish in a barrel. You are a mosquito in a nudist colony of opportunity when you understand how to use some of these social tools to identify your prospects. So now we're at step 3. So when I first got in sales back in the 90s, I read a couple books. One was How to Win Friends and Influence People, which had a huge impact on my success. Another one was called Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive by Harvey Mackay. And in that book, Harvey Mackay outlined something that he called the Mackay 66. And basically what Harvey would do is he would give his salespeople a 66-question questionnaire and say, as you go out to sell the envelopes that we offer at my company, because Harvey owns an envelope company, not a sexy business. By the way, valuation ain't a sexy business either, but who cares? He would say to them, while you're selling envelopes, your goal is to try to learn as much as you can about your prospects and your referral sources, because the more you can learn about them, the more you can create sincere, authentic, heart-centered conversations. Well, I had already understood this concept before I got on LinkedIn in 2003. So that when I did get on LinkedIn in 2003, I looked at LinkedIn completely differently than almost everybody else out there. Because when I got on LinkedIn and I could see that Mark likes golf. I could see that Mark pledged Phi Alpha Delta. I could see that Mark is a tutor for kids. I already understood that all things being equal, people do business with and refer business to people who they know, like, and trust. I was already somebody who had great conversation skills. So when I was handed a great conversation tool, I could use it effectively. I have individuals and organizations who contact me every day, and I mean every day. And they say, Kev, teach me how to use LinkedIn. And I know something they don't know. I know they need to learn how to use LinkedIn, but they also need to improve their conversation skills. If you were Hannibal Lecter before you got on LinkedIn, now you're just Hannibal Lecter on LinkedIn. So it's not about the tool. If you don't know how to drive, it doesn't matter if I give you the keys to a Toyota or a Lamborghini. You're going to crash them both. But if you're a pretty good driver and I hand you the keys to a Lamborghini Diablo, you're going to have some fun. So it's never about the conversation tool. LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, telephone, email, 2 cans in a string, smoke signals. It's always about the conversation skills of the person with the tool. So once I start a conversation with Mark, which 87% of the time I will, because nobody else is offering to potentially open doors for him, then I put him into my simple 3-step system, which I normally take 3 hours to explain. According to my watch, we have 11 minutes left. So we don't have a lot of time to run through this. But at the end, in a few moments, I'm going to make you aware of a home study course that will take you as deep into this as you want to go. In my world, I communicate with a tremendous number of people on a daily basis through social media and my weekly newsletter. But at any point in time, I have a subset of people that I am greatly interested in bringing on as clients. I manage between 30 and 75 key relationships, but don't think that that's your number. Your number may be higher or it may be lower. That's just my number. But I identify 3 categories of people that I call A, Bs, and Cs. And then I touch my A's twice a month, I touch my Bs once a month, and I touch my Cs once every 2 months. When I use the word touch, I never ever mention my product or service. I only touch people about something they have an interest in. And people automatically assume, as you are right this second, Kevin, when do I talk about my product or service? When the time is right, you talk about your product or service. When David met his wife, he didn't follow a flow chart to figure out when he was going to kiss her the first time. But at a certain point, it became self-evident that this would probably be a good time to lean in for a kiss. Now, that might sound like a weird analogy, and I certainly don't have time in this webinar to get into the nuances of sales conversations. But I am not going to lean in for the kiss until I feel it's the right time to lean in for the kiss. So I'm only going to touch people about things they're already telling me they have an interest in if I'm smart enough to go look at their LinkedIn profile or their Facebook account, until the time is right for me to bring into the conversation what I do. There are multiple ways I can touch them. I can touch them by shooting them an email, by sending them a card in the mail, by making a quick phone call, or dropping by their office. I actually use an online system that automates the whole thing for me. So if you saw on that previous slide, the refer.com and then the promo code Kevin Knebl, I actually log into my account every day, and I just literally go and I see who are my A, B's, and C's, and are there any red dots next to their names. So this person here, Barb Kimball, is somebody that I would like to do business with. There's a red dot next to her name, so it's telling me it's time for me to touch her. So I go and I look her up. There's this new thing called LinkedIn. It's going to be big. I go to Barb Kimball. This is a woman I would like to do business with. If I'm smart enough to shut up and listen to what she's telling me everything I need to know to build a relationship with her. She's telling me she went to the University of Hartford. She's telling me what sorority she pledged. She's telling me all this. I go in here and I just click on Barb and I say I want to send an email. My email signature is already populated in there. There's hundreds of templates that are already built in here if I don't want to come up with my own. It automatically pre-populates everything. Bob, how are you doing? Wow, couldn't help but think of you when I saw this. Saw what? I've already tagged her as she went to the University of Hartford, and she's told me she likes boxing. I click University of Hartford, it goes out to the internet, and it pulls up everything related to the University of Hartford. Then I just find something that's not negative. I'm not going to send her some downer thing, but I just say, okay, what's something about University of Hartford? Quick insert, pops into the body of the email a link. I create the subject line, interesting University of Hartford article. I say I want to be notified when she actually opens up the email, right? And then I could send it. About 90% of the time I get a response on this, because notice it doesn't say, oh, and by the way, the greatest compliment is a referral to your friends, and none of that slick salesy stuff. I'm just touching the person about something that they've told me they have an interest in, and I'm creating know, like, trust. Folks, I'm running out of time. I can't get into all the nuances of this, so let me recap this, and then I'm going to make you aware of a home study course. Assuming that you are good at what you do for a living, and I'm assuming you are, there's only 3 steps between where you are right now and wherever you want to be in terms of your success. Number 1, you have to have the ability to find the people that are in a position to hire you or refer you. Number 2, you have to have the ability to engage them in a sincere conversation without getting the door slammed in your face. And number 3, you have to have a method or a system to stay top of mind in a way that they don't blow you off, you don't repel them. I call it client repelling. That's what most people are doing. I'm teaching you just the opposite. You're creating sincere, authentic, know, like, trust so that when they're ready to talk about business, they actually want to talk about business. If you were to ever go to my website, on my website, I have 2 products that I offer on my website, which typically cost $197 and $997. But because of my relationship with ValuSource, and by extension my relationship with you, I'm going to offer these to you right now until 5 p.m. Eastern time today. This is limited time only. If either of these interests you, let me explain what this is. This is a hidden page on my website, kevinknebl.com/ValuSource, ValuSource without the E in the middle. There's a 4-hour program, 2 hours on LinkedIn and 2 hours on Twitter. It's streaming video, which means you can access it from any place on earth with an internet connection. It's broken into 15 and 20-minute chapters. You can go in any order. You can go in sequential order, or you can jump around. You can fast forward, you can rewind, you could watch it 1,000 times until the sun burns out. This has helped companies generate hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. It's typically $197 on my website without the /ValuSource, okay? Oops. But because of my relationship with ValuSource, if you go to kevinknebl.com/ValuSource before 5 o'clock today, and you click Add to Cart, it will reduce the price, the investment, to $147. Folks, this is a joke. This is nothing. For $147, the moment that you process that, you will automatically be emailed your login and your password, and you will have unlimited lifetime access to this training program. And I update the videos about every 6 months to reflect the changes on the platforms. You will have unlimited access to all the future videos for the rest of your life. But I really don't want to draw your attention to this 4-hour program. I really want to draw your attention to this program. This is the most comprehensive social selling and relationship marketing training program on earth. I'm not saying that to brag. If you can find one more comprehensive than this, please bring it to my attention. I'd love to hear about it. It doesn't exist. In this program, I spend an hour explaining what is social selling and relationship marketing. And again, you can watch it at your own pace, watch it as many times as you want. Then I take 9 hours and I go through every single feature that you could ever use on LinkedIn. By the way, if you have an assistant, you might want them to watch this instead of you watching it. Then I spend a couple of hours on Twitter. Then I spend 3 hours going into what I just showed you here. Okay? All combined, it's a 17-hour program broken into 15 and 20-minute chapters that you have unlimited lifetime access to, or your assistant has unlimited lifetime access to, and all future updates on the videos. And you process it. Normally, it's $997, but until 5 p.m. Eastern today, which is when we will turn this off on my website, I cut it in half, 50% off. $497 one time, add to cart, and you have unlimited lifetime access to all of my training. This training has helped companies generate over $500 million in revenue. This is not up for debate, folks. This works. It's just like a gym. You go to the gym and lift the weights and eat right and get the right amount of sleep, you're going to get healthy. If you do what I teach you 15 minutes per day, every day, 5 days a week, or you have your assistant do it, 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week, you are going to make a heck of a lot of money. And you are never going to worry about clients or referrals again for the rest of your life. So that's that. I'm going to bring David back onto the call. That's kevinknebl.com/ValuSource. Again, this will be live until 5 p.m. Eastern time today, which is 2 p.m. Pacific time. So you may want to jump on this. And if it doesn't interest you, thanks for listening. You can always go to kevinknebl.com after 5 p.m. today, and you can spend $197 or you can spend $997. I'm just encouraging you to take advantage of the time-sensitive offer. David, are you still there?
Yes, I am. Kevin, thank you so much. And I can tell you, we've done these a couple of times in the past, and I can't tell you how many thank yous I've gotten from valuators who both were on the webinar and picked up these extra tools, because it just, I know for me, Kevin, when I first started with LinkedIn, it was sort of like a deer in the headlights. I mean, I had this big, huge Rolodex, but I had no idea how to use it or how to, really even build relationships on it. I mean, I'd get on there and I was stumbling and fumbling, and in knowing Kevin and going through this webinar a couple of times and talking to him privately about this, my entire approach to LinkedIn and relationship building is really radically changed. So I would encourage you guys, I think with anything, if you hear a couple of good tips, it's a matter of implementing them. And I'd highly encourage you to implement these tips. I mean, they're they're great kind of things, and they really work. So with that, we're at 12 o'clock. That's 60 minutes of Kevin. Kevin, thank you so much for spending your time here, and thank you everybody for joining us. If you have any questions, feel free to email Kevin. He gave you a couple of things that he will send you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me too. And best of luck on growing your practice. I know for a lot of evaluators, growing a practice is an important thing, and it can be a hard thing. And this makes it a whole lot easier. So with that, I will say goodbye to everyone, and thank you all for joining us.